Hey, how's it going? It's your man, Mike Eater Kyrandis here, and today I'm just going over some development stuff and what I'm doing and what's been happening. Lately, I've been just posting development videos as of late because I'm kind of taking the direction of my channel into exactly that. This channel has always been about games and just sort of myself, but I'm mostly pouring straight into just all games now. It's been a long journey, and I'm kind of small on this platform after so many years, which is okay. But I haven't been that active on YouTube lately because I've just been deciding where to head in life for the last year or so. I really want to thank all of you for coming along this far, for all the games I played through and all the other videos, and even those who might have been here since the beginning, which is many, many years ago. And those who've kept in touch know I'm already kind of disconnecting away from playing games in general. Lost Ark being the final MMO I'll be actively playing, and other games only seldomly engaging in it. It's only for one strong reason. It's because I'm actively trying to make a game with what little I have, and I'll be putting out pieces of progress on it over time. Compared to the past, I was passively creating it, which didn't progress very much of it at all. But now I'm just going active on it whenever I can. It's tough since it's not like a daily grind I can just do either. Burnout management is a serious thing in this regard since I have to handle everything. There's been a few times I've worked on something for a couple days and saw little to no progress. And when I stepped away for just a day or two, then go back to it the next week, the problem and the progress was solved instantly in astronomical speed compared to pounding my head against the issue over and over going nowhere. So it's not like something I can just grind every day and just see infinite progress. It's more of a roller coaster ride. I'd be lying if I didn't say that it's been frustrating working entirely alone, trying to figure things out on my own. I know I can't do everything by myself, but it just seems like I'll have to do everything myself for the time being. I've been trying to find help and learn unknowns with others, but I'm mostly hitting into topics where I can't seem to locate or find anyone doing similar stuff, or they're incredibly small or hard to find and just doing it occasionally, or there's a language barrier, which is also problematic, or they're preoccupied with their own thing. So I just have to rely on myself. I haven't really asked colleagues since they're mostly grinding away to stay afloat within their professions, given that there's increased layoffs year after year. And that's not doing myself any favors for not reaching out, obviously, but I have no idea how to go about that. If I had to like showcase stuff to the multiple times without response, I'm already hesitating with going further because I feel like I'm just wasting their time and I'm just being ghosted as well. And then like, eventually there'll just be like this wall of text. In the past, I've cycled through numerous people to find that the motivations aren't the same or matching, and or the vibes just aren't working out. Sometimes it could be a lot of miscommunication that doesn't seem to sort itself out and keeps happening, and I prefer not to burn a bridge over miscommunications. So I'd excuse myself and remain friendly and polite because the vision just has to line up and the motivations as well. Otherwise, I'd rather the other person just be working on their own interests because if they don't line up, I find it very difficult to work together because that excitement and motivation is actually pretty core to solving like unknowns. It's not so much like a traditional thing. So like my character's hair, for instance, the grooms, I had to self teach myself all of that because it's just something I really wanted, and I self taught myself how to do those. I don't want to waste each other's time since I know that's the most valuable when you're an indie and I can't pay. And I wouldn't want someone working for me for free either. So it has to be like beneficial if they're gonna spend time in it for them. The currency of time is like non-refundable and more valuable than money itself. So yeah, and AI isn't really helpful at all either most of the time. I have a particular stance when it comes to AI. I'm still doing mostly traditional workflows, grasping basics because, well, I went back to grasping basics because I want my skills sharpened. It's why I post work in progress videos and all the messes in between leading up to a milestone point in the shorts. And some of these videos, like this one that'll be popping up from time to time in a much longer form, sharing thoughts and steps throughout, without knowing the basics, I'll have to eventually return to it anyway. So I'm not about to offshoot like all this work and craft into like a quote unquote tool that people seem to label it and have it perform a task that should have been an innate practice to the core of the craft, anyways. So yeah, for me, like pencil and paper, I drew almost every day for 3 months as consistent as I could to sharpen like just basics. because I've noticed how little people draw ever since all of this stuff has been surfacing lately. My mind was thinking about it daily and just reforging the thoughts of how it used to think was like, I can't draw, it looks like crap, to now, like, the drawings will look like crap, but eventually, I can't draw like how I used to, anyways. So I just started appreciating what I can do now and look back at later at how far I've gone from the past. It's been proven time and time and again that it just got better, and I just never realized it. It's annoying because the noise I'm hearing constantly in social networks and platforms all point towards something along the thread of making creativity obsolete, which I have no idea why everybody's like this. Or maybe I'm just like stuck in some like depressing algorithm that's showing me these craps. And to me, it sounds like a world that's already more ugly than it already is. But in terms of keeping it a little bit more positive than darkness, there, contrarily with that ugliness, though, I've resourcefully located indirect mentors across the net surfacing in the wake of AI, showcasing traditional and new techniques void of AI in the realm of art to be more informative, precise, creative, and far more powerful than before. And it almost seems like the gatekeeping of like knowledge is just opened up with it too. So with this, it circles back to something I mentioned in the last video where it's not so much how accessible information is, it's how long it's going to take you to digest the information and the right kind, because learning the wrong thing can set you back further, like myself in the past. It's important because I feel like something I hold dear is like bringing your imagination to life out of your own two hands is like a spiritual connection and communication to an audience. It's even more like magical to me when I can actually help somebody like bring their imagination a little bit to life. But it's so invigorating to be able to like showcase and guide someone's hand to start creating like a little bit of imagination for themselves. Like drawing is the most simplest form. It's like pencil, pen, or and a surface, a flat surface. Doesn't even, it could be a napkin, it could be paper, anything. But just the fact that you start giving them a little bit of guidance of how to like start drawing what they're thinking about and what they're imagining, and start sparking like a form of inspiration that they didn't even know they had, which is pretty cool to see like unfold in reality, like in front of yourself when I do that. I would know so since because like I watch a lot of specific artists and follow certain leaders of companies that run popular titles these days for decades. So much that me just glancing at particular titles in games and particular art styles that resonate with me instantly, since I've followed them for so long and been like looking at their artwork and stuff and their style, I can usually recognize it before even looking up the credits to almost always accurately confirm that they worked on the project. One of my favorite artists that passed away years ago was Kim Jung-gi, who had a lot of wisdom, was took to heart and recognized when I destroyed my inner demons against drawing that was blocked for years due to internal strife problems. It was only like luck of discovering a different approach to make it enjoyable again and forcing a mindset against something that was deteriorating my skills for so long. And to that same message, I tried to spread in the video I drew for 100 days in hopes others will discover a path for themselves. I drew a lot as a kid and a teen, but it was somewhere in my mid 20s, something soured, and I sort of like lost the will to draw and disliked all of it together. And then I only rediscovered it in my 30s in a different way. The advent of AI sort of shook it back into rhythm, but the additional revelation that I realized that so little people draw as well, through that rediscovery, uh, I also found out characteristic issues with myself, such as like pretty, well, it's not severe ADHD, but it is some form of ADHD, and then like inner demons accompanied with like severe imposter syndrome and like loneliness devouring my soul and being best friends with it in the same state. My mental like holding like the dam of flooding emotions at bay while I work on my imagination before it gets drowned out by all the noise. So I pretty much sort of entered like a pseudo state of delusion to get through all of it and to just keep going. Imposter syndrome in my head is like shouting loud and clear within, going like, it's just like, oh, I just keep recording like what I'm doing so that it's going to implicitly tell it to shut up. That way, this time I can get to the destination and be like, I know how I got here, instead of like in the past where it was like, I don't know how I got here and I know I did all this, which was incredibly frustrating all the time. So this time it's just the mantra within myself is being keep going. It's going to suck. It doesn't matter as long as I'm still moving and not backwards, and just grant myself the belief that I can do it. which slowly morphed into I can't believe I'm doing all this, but I can believe it because it's right there in front of me as the progress goes larger and larger. And really, it's just being back and forth inside myself between these recalls. One side is winning, one side is losing inside of it of myself. I have bouts of random bursts of anger out of nowhere, and I dislike it a lot. I don't really even have time to compare outwardly because I'm so locked in comparing against myself in the past and just wanting to get better faster against like what I used to know. So I'm just creating those. So just like in terms of the scope of like what I'm creating, it's actually it used to be pretty unrealistic. Um, as a teenager, it was like thinking of like grand ideas influenced by really big popular titles and never really sort of registering the fact that these titles I was really admiring had multiples and multiple squads of people working on it and like multi-million dollars circling around it, none of which I have. So, I sort of had like grand ideas to make all of these things, but then never really accounted for those other things young because it was dumb. And then somewhere in the mid 20s, I thought I shaved the scope down to be kind of smaller or like a lot smaller, like 99, not 99, but like 90% shaved down. And even then, that was still unrealistic and it still didn't register to me. But now I'm sort of at the area where I'm like, okay, this should be realistic now because it's now boiled down to I'm gonna have two characters and maybe about like seven bosses or something, I guess, and like one tiny world with like seven platforms, and that should be enough. And I've cut everything down to about a rule of three, so there's everything is gonna work in sort of like sense of three. It should be I believe it should be like understandable. I don't want to frustrate the player. It would be so annoying to just build all this just so that the player gets frustrated right off the bat would be so sad. So I there's like all these things that are very very important to me because I know that the player is not going to give two shits about how I made this or whatever. They're just going to play the game, and if it's great, it's great. If it's bad, it's bad. I don't expect the game to be very long either. I have no idea how long this is going to take. It might take. I'm trying to make it within a year or like maybe even over a year, but which is insanity already as a self expectation. But for me, I just want to see if I can do it. I don't know if I can. I mean, I wrote a game engine in 3 months in school. That was already psychotic. I don't think I want to do that again. But we'll see. I'm also losing like 2 weeks this year because I'm going to Asia to meet some family or whatever soon in March. And yeah, so yeah, I really expect the game to not be that long. It's probably gonna be like 1 hour or less when it's done. I just expect the game to be completed in like an hour or something. Because one, the main thing was I'm one person. Two, I don't have any funding or anything, so I'm just doing this with whatever the heck I have and whatever I can. And I'm just doing it with whatever I can, and I'm sharing this journey sort of with you guys. I can make tutorials for like the stuff I'm doing on if you want, but um, one of the things I'm like hesitant about it is like it's actually almost like when I was back in playing in Black Desert. I used to not make guides because I thought it was obvious to everybody else, but it turns out it wasn't. And I'm starting to maybe realize that maybe what I've done here is also the same sort of vein where I thought like, oh, I don't know if I did this right, and I feel like industry people seem to know this probably better than I do. But then I'm starting to realize like, just making this video and talking about the past and other stuff was like, oh, maybe I should actually just make it so that other people can actually just use it too, because sooner or later somebody will probably make that tutorial anyways. So I might as well just like do it and fast forward the gates of knowledge if people are actually struggling. But I don't know who's interested in it is the other reason why I haven't done it, because again, that takes away time from actually working on the characters and treading towards like the game progress. So that's why I haven't really engaged in it and why I'm only putting out videos every now and then. And I'm trying to make sure that there's not like huge long gaps. Like there are long gaps, but I don't want the gaps to be that long either. So I'm also like doing like some kind of YouTube boot camp as well. So almost everything that will be posted in mostly progress will be here on this channel. centrally for like main milestones and stuff. I post other like short, very short stuff, like less than 40 seconds on X, on Blue Sky, on Instagram, and partially on the Discord in the WIP section, and that's about it. So yeah, anyways, so that's pretty long for this already. Really thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time to hopefully go over different things rather than a self-inflection and what's been happening. So I'll see you then. Peace.